Hey, hope everybody is doing well. So I wanted to make this video about Peter Schiff, a guy who haven't made a video in a long time, and I believe it's time that I should. This guy is a salesperson, a guy with an investment financial track record that is dismal, horrible, constantly doom and gloom, telling you that stocks are going to underperform, get out of paper. He spoke about hyperinflation several years ago, get into commodities, buy his precious metals, invest in overseas markets and everything. Well, many of you who have listened to him for many, many years, I bet you missed out on a lot of opportunities, and you might have lost a lot of your net worth because of this individual. This guy has a crappy track record. And by the way, I have made a lot of videos exposing this guy, expressing the truth about what is exactly happening. And I've done this several years ago. About 5-6 years ago, I've been exposing this guy. And I was aware of many of the other YouTube channels debunking and smearing his claims. Whether it was Schiff Report, Tacos Mananeros, Mind This One, the list goes on. Mike Norman, although don't get me wrong, he's gotten some things incorrect too. But at least his track record is not as horrible as Peter Schiff. And you have this guy that, well, believe it or not, he hasn't experienced too much increase in the number of subscribers that he has had since 2013. But nevertheless, you have these people, because I think some of them have woke up and move along. However, you have some of them that have been following this guy for several years, and they have been circling down the drain, going down the grave, digging down the gutter. And it's very disappointing how people can take this guy so seriously. Now let's see what this guy really has to point out.
The markets today, nothing really big happening in the stock market today. I think a lot of the action was in the gold market. The price of gold got hit pretty hard this morning.
Yeah, always talking about gold. Stock market's not a big deal. Yeah, get out of paper. Just get into gold. Well, now he's trying to tell you, oh, gold is being hit hard, but that's okay. Just keep stacking, buying more precious metals. Hyperinflation, massive inflation is coming. Federal Reserve. And don't get me wrong, I'm pretty critical of the Federal Reserve. I'm certainly not happy about how they let these low interest rates go on for so long. In many cases, it's not good for our economy, but that doesn't mean that you have to buy this mantra, the dollar is going to collapse, massive inflation is coming, buy gold, buy precious metal, Euro-Pacific capital is going to rescue you, buy into overseas markets. And by the way, the stock market has done pretty well. Let's take a look at the truth and the reality. So, as you can see here, here's a chart of the NASDAQ composite. And of course, many times when it falls, like what we saw in late 2018, Peter Schiff has been telling you, oh my gosh, the economy is collapsing. We're going to have an economic downturn. The end is over for the bull market. And then guess what? I told a lot of people about several months ago that this is an opportunity to get in, that the bull market is not ending. If you see my video that I made in late 2018, and if you got in this opportunity, you would have catched a rebound. And now it has recovered almost entirely of its losses. Look how well it has done. By comparison, look at the gold market. It's not done as well. So this guy's track record, this guy's claim, his parroting is miserable, and you have to hold him accountable. Now, let's not just take a look in the last few months. Let's also take a look at, believe it or not, in the last several years. Because it's very important to know that the gold market peaked in the summer of 2011. Okay? The gold market peaked at that time, and you could see here, let's just zoom out just a little bit. Let's go on just a little more. So you see here, the gold market has peaked in late summer of 2011. And guess what? It has done miserable. It has lost about 40% of its value. But meanwhile, if you would have got in the stock market since then, in the NASDAQ, you would have about tripled your net worth. You would have tripled your assets. This guy has totally misled you. This guy has made you circle down the drain if you would have listened to him and missed out on a lot of the opportunities. Oh, stock market's gambling. Stock market is meaningless because of all the massive inflation. Well, the price of consumer goods has not gone up 3 times or not even 2 times. Most real estate markets have not doubled since 2011. So what is this guy really talking about? And again, you guys are going to keep listening to this individual. He's going to keep telling you and parroting the same thing over and over again, probably until the day he dies. And as time moves along, you're going to see 10 years later, the stock market is going to continue to outperform inflation and many commodities. That's a fact. Now, it's true that it's possible we may have a downturn in the stock market 2020, 2021. Gold may rebound, and then he's going to use it as an opportunity to sucker more people and say, oh my gosh, I told you so, just like a broken clock gets right once in a while. And then he's going to sucker a new group of people, and then there's a possibility that 22, 23, 2024, that the gold market is going to continue to suffer, perhaps drop down to, God knows, $700 an ounce, $300 an ounce, and then the market's going to keep doing better than the gold market. So you guys should be very disappointed and ashamed if you continue to promote this guy, and probably be embarrassed if you guys have been following him like sheep. And just to let you know, these guys, whether it's perma gold bulls or perma U.S. stock market bears or perma U.S. stock market bulls, Kramer, Altucher, a lot of these people, they are sharks. You should stay away from them. Many of these media pundits, many of these so-called investment experts are toxic. You're going to get killed. You're going to get destroyed. And I'm pretty shocked to know that many of my followers, like High Desert Pioneer, as far as I know, he's buying into this gold pumping bandwagon. Stay out. Wake up. Now let's go on.
It was around 8:30 or a little before 8:30. Even before, I think, we got the industrial production numbers that came out, and these were weak numbers. I mean, this would have helped the price of gold, I think. I mean, the February.
Yeah, but it's not. Stop justifying and making yourself look good with your salesperson tactics. Gold's bull run is over. Wake up. And again, a lot of this manipulation is happening because of these pumpers. This is what you have to really understand. Now, perhaps, yes, it's true that the banks are manipulating it. That's certainly a possibility. But people are not buying into this line as much as they used to.
Industrial production number was just 0.1, and they were expecting a slight increase, that, in March we were going to get a gain of 0.3. Instead, we were minus 0.1. So not only didn't we improve, we actually went into the negative. And if you look at the manufacturing number, the prior month was reported as minus 0.4, and we did revise that to minus 0.3. But instead of rebounding a positive 0.3 in March, which is what everybody expected, it was unchanged, no rebound whatsoever. So a weaker number, and capacity utilization, that was at 79 in the prior month, and instead of improving to 79.1, it was reported down to 78.8. Although actually, when I look at that number, the original estimate for February capacity utilization was 78.2. So they did revise that before that number came out. And I think it so shocked the markets that the markets really didn't react to that weaker economic number. And in fact, you have.
Well, yeah, he's saying that the markets didn't plunge because of that. That just shows that investors are stupid. Look, the fact is that earnings are doing pretty good. The fact is that the settlement right now is not looking bearish, and that's why the markets are recovering. And we had a severe downturn in late 2018 relative to the years before. So people are trying to get into the bargains or the buying opportunities, whatever you want to call it. But he is just trying to make any excuse he can to show that why his investment forecasts are not running as well as he thought he would. And he's trying to make excuses to make people believe that the stock market shouldn't have made these bull runs.
Had Larry Kudlow, who was out, I think it was just at the end of last week. And Kudlow now, looking at the economic data, he came out and he made the statement that he doesn't expect any more rate hikes in his lifetime. In his lifetime. Now, Larry Kudlow's an older guy, but his life expectancy is, probably at least a decade, if not more. And Kudlow does not believe there'll be any more rate hikes in his lifetime. And I don't think he's right. I do think that a rate hike is coming, but not for the reasons that Kudlow might expect, right? Because I think the reason that he thinks there's going to be no more rate hikes is because he knows that the economy is not going to be growing. We're going into recession. And he knows that we can't afford any rate hikes because the debt is that big. That's why Donald Trump is calling for more quantitative easing, right? How could Donald Trump be saying on the one...
Yeah, I just don't buy into that, really. Now, you can argue that they're trying to push the potential economic downturn after his re-election. Of course, that's what a lot of politicians do. But the fact is, rates are going to go up pretty soon. And they have been rising for the last 2-3 years now. But to say as if that, this is just an excuse to buy gold and, basically we're going to have massive inflation, I just don't buy into that, folks. This guy has been making you circle down the drain for so long. But I will give him credit, though. This economy has been dependent on very low interest rates. And as a matter of fact, that's what's been propping up the real estate market for so long, because these low interest rates. And now we see many markets are slowing down because the mortgage rates have been going up. Now, certainly, yes, this can lead to another economic downturn, but I don't believe that it's going to lead to an economic collapse that this guy has been parroting for several years and possibly decades. This is a guy that actually said, I believe in 2002, that the NASDAQ was going to go down to 500. Well, here we are, and the NASDAQ is about, 14 times that value. So whatever happened to the stock market crashing and we were going to have hyperinflation and all that? You see, this is really the problem with this guy. And don't get me started with his political views, because his political views is libertarian. Libertarians, to me, in my opinion, are just pretty extreme on the economic level. Now, yes, it's true that there can be taxes and government regulations that are pretty destructive. But nevertheless, government sometimes is needed to interfere in the economy to make it work, whether it's tariffs, whether it's some Wall Street regulation, and so forth. But this guy believes in so much, free will that the corporation can basically just rape the consumer and the worker. But again, he's using his libertarian tactic. I don't know, he believes in this cult, or it's because of the fact that he's using it to promote his sales pitch tactics. In other words, government in America is too big. Don't buy in the U.S. stock market, buy in overseas markets like China. And by the way, China is going to have lots and lots of problems in the years ahead if you take a look at their ghost cities. So this is what they do. They spread fear. They spread a lot of problems. And one of the things is that I just want to point out that why hasn't a lot of his followers hold him accountable? Why hasn't there been a lot of videos exposing this guy? And why hasn't there been a lot of people willing to stand up to him, confront him, which I will probably pretty soon. He does have a Freedom Fest event that he attends every other year in Las Vegas every year or so. So I might be considering attending that, confronting him, debating him. But why hasn't anybody has actually attempted to contact the SEC or the Federal Trade Commission? Now, I'm not saying that there should be. It's really hard to say. But at least one person could have done that, because a lot of people got suckered in and lost a lot. So, look, folks, it's been 10, 20 years. He's been parroting this. Where are you guys now? And you guys have lost a lot of opportunities in the markets. So, tell me, guys, what you believe is true. What do you guys think? And please, if you can, share this video, subscribe. We have to make sure, because again, I know that there's a lot of problems in society, that we've got immigration, we've got a lot of different issues, but it's important that you make good financial decisions and succeed in the market. Which is to say, by the way, the problem with this guy, Peter Schiff, and I forgot to point out, is that he makes you believe that inflation is solely or mostly caused by the Federal Reserve. Now, yes, it's true that the Fed has some impact on inflation. Certainly, you can argue that the low interest rates creates all the credit, which speculates in the housing market. But inflation is caused through a lot of other means. Speculation in commodities, which drives up food and energy prices. You can argue that things like healthcare and tuition is caused by the credit policy of student loans, the ability for the large corporations to charge more, and people are willing to pay more. It's just corporate greed, oligarchies, lack of competition. And certainly you can argue when it comes to housing, there is, restrictions in building, lack of labor, higher cost of materials. There's a lot of different factors. And of course, immigration has an impact too, because you're feeding more and more people into your market. That drives up prices. And nevertheless, of course, immigration has a significant impact on the economy. It's not just the Federal Reserve and government regulations. If you have oligarchies, if you have Wall Street manipulation, if you have ineffective unions, that can also have an effect on your economy. And immigration, that alone, all these can have an impact on wages. Trade policy too. So these are one of the reasons why wages have not been increasing. So Peter Schiff is not telling you a lot of variables in this equation. So tell me, what is it that you guys think? Please share this video and subscribe and expose this individual. Thank you.